Alright, not too long ago I was able to actually get my hands on and watch the first film of the Resident Evil series made by Paul W.S. Anderson. It's distributed by Screen Gems in the United States, but I think its production company is Constantin Films. Now, you're probably going to ask, why the hell did I only watch the first one when there's four others and there's Degeneration? Well, because there's a new one being released and all. The main reason is because this is the film that is supposed to start the series, and its very success will guarantee the ones following it. However, this was a bit of an understatement, and this film, in my opinion, is very bad. Alright, let's go through this. The film starts out with the explanation about the Umbrella Corp, since this is based on the first couple of Resident Evil games, according to Wikipedia. So this is based on the Raccoon City incident. So, the film starts out with the scenes in the hive, and how apparently the computer system, the Red Queen, which is meant to basically run the hive, basically goes psychopathic and starts killing everyone in the hive and releasing nerve gas on the periphery of the hive, specifically knocking out the protagonist. I think her name is Alice. But the wonderful thing about this film is that I never realized that a plot can actually be symmetrical. Because in a normal film, there's usually the character development, and there's also the conflict, etc. But from start to end, the starting point and the ending point are not exactly the same. However, you probably may criticize me of all of the other events, but pretty much the entire film is symmetrical. For instance, Alice gets attacked, along with James, I think a police officer, by a SWAT team working for the Umbrella Corp, because they're actually supposed to be the guardians of the only entrance to the hive. So, what they did was, having realized from intelligence that the Red Queen went on a murdering spree, what they decided to do was actually go down into the hive and shut down Red Queen itself. But as soon as they did that, they also turned off every single function. And when they realized what they did, there was suddenly this plague of zombies and mutant creatures that they didn't understand how they were created or what they were supposed to be. And so then they decided, hey, we might as well get out of here. So what they did ultimately was turn on the Red Queen, climb their way up, go back out the same way. It seems as if the entire event seemed to repeat, almost in a loop, without any real sort of major changes. Because despite the fact you may say, well, there was also the zombies and monsters, specifically the one Gila monster, skinned leopard hybrid thing. But aside from that, it all looks pretty similar. Also, much of it was pretty redundant. For instance, there's a scene where the Red Queen realized that one of the members of the SWAT team was infected, so it basically told everyone to kill her, which obviously they never did, but they had to anyways towards the very end. So basically this whole scene where it shows some sort of humanity seemed to be a bit redundant. And whereas the aspects of being horrifying and things of that nature being action, horror, sci-fi, it seems pretty lazy because a lot of the actual deaths of the characters happen towards the beginning and the end of the film, and the middle is just very prolonged. In fact, it's even surprising that some people actually did survive the whole instance. Characterization is very weak. In fact, Basically, the only form of characterization that there is the whole skeleton in the closet concept. For instance, Alice was later revealed to be a mole in the Umbrella Corporation meant to bring down the corporation by stealing the T-virus. James turned out to be somebody that seemed to be almost like a watchdog, so to speak, in the hopes of bringing down Umbrella. And Alice's fake husband, who lived with her, basically wanted to take down Umbrella as well, but he did so in a very nasty way that involved bloodshed. So basically, characterization is very weak. Gunplay is just infrequent. In fact, to sum it up bluntly, how much gunplay there's actually a scene with a horde of zombies attacking one of the members of the SWAT team, and then he unloads his gun, and then he realizes he only has one bullet. Basically, there isn't a lot of shooting in this. In fact, there's probably not much in general. The one thing that I would like to criticize is the ending. Granted, horror films, I notice, tend to actually have very, very open, very loose, and also very crappy endings. But it's typical because it's kind of hard to actually end or completely complete a film based on some sort of psychological or physical horror. But Resident Evil takes the cake because the end seems almost like the beginning. For instance, when Alice gets attacked by the SWAT team at the very beginning to gain access to the hive, and towards the end, basically they were attacked and abducted by Umbrella Corporation. And the very end basically shows Alice escaping from an empty hospital and finding Raccoon City completely vacant. And what happened in the film is they pretty much showed a no-brainer of what exactly happened. Basically, Umbrella Corporation did exactly what the SWAT team did, but without any realization about what happened because of the Red Queen incident, and ultimately opened Pandora's box, and thus Raccoon City became a ghost town. But they had to leave it open because of all the sequels to it. It makes me wonder how was this film able to survive long enough to actually produce 3 other movies. I think one is being in production, because the first film didn't exactly make much of an impact on me, and I don't think it made much of an impact on many viewers. Basically, some of the stuff of the sci-fi horror aspect is kind of weak, and it doesn't exactly build much off of it. Characterization is very poor. The plot has a lot of problems, so it makes me wonder how the hell this film actually survived as long as it did. Granted, I think maybe a good idea is probably to look at another Resident Evil film, specifically Resident Evil Degeneration, that was released not too long ago. Maybe I should look at that, because possibly this is not by the same person who made the original Resident Evil film series, and hopefully it's closer to the roots of Capcom, so maybe I could get a better judgment on this, but overall, the Resident Evil film is very, very terrible.